What's up people, how's it going? This is Bharat and welcome back to yet another video. Like I said in the previous video, we're going to be talking about Python for the months and months to come. But in this video, I wanted to really quickly show you guys my top 5 tricks and tips that I use on an everyday basis when I'm actually coding with the Python programming language. If you want to look really professional when you're writing Python code, these 5 tricks are used by a lot of top code developers themselves. So I'm going to be sharing with you all of those tips. Let's get this video started straight away. Alright, so even before I get into this video, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor for us with this video, Unacademy along with CodeChef. Let's talk more about that later, but let's get this thing started because I'm going to be sharing with you guys my first tip, which is to make use of the function called as join. I'll have the PyCharm fired up and probably there's some data inside that. Let's forget about that and start writing our code. So how do you how do you use the join function? Let's create a simple list. I'm just calling it a simple list. And if you see inside this list, I'm going to be having some data like string 1 and I'm going to have it like string 2 and it's going to be again string 3. All right, so they have 3 different values inside the string of a list, and I want to now quickly join this, or I want to quickly use or convert this list of strings to one string. What would you usually do? You run a for loop inside, you will have your data, you'll add to that data continuously, and that's kind of what a lot of you would immediately do. But you can convert a list of data into a string in just one simple line using the join function. So it's a very simple function. Just do print double quotes. This is often the separator here. You can just say join off and pass the simple list. So what it will do is it will join this entire thing, and you can see for yourself that it's joining it into a simple string here. I hope you guys can see it. So what usually happens is that whatever string that is being given here, it's joined with a space. Now let's say I want to give it a different separator. Let's give this as the separator, and you can see for yourself that it is also separating it with whatever separator you're giving in the double quotes. So basically that's a very simple function, and also use it very often. Hopefully you guys can find it and use it in your program. Alright, so continuing on, we have the second one, which is to use the decorator. So decorators are very simple and effectively used across any Python framework that you will see. So I'm going to be talking about that right now. Let's go back to our PyCharm. So what exactly do the Python decorators do? They are very simple static functions that take whatever function you're passing into that and do something before and after that function. Basically, this is just for decoration purposes. Now, if you ask me, is this just going to be used for decoration purposes? I would say that no. Python decorators have a very vast use case. Let's say that I'm creating a function which is something like this. I'm just saying print function, right? And this print function has something like printing or doing some business logic of 500 lines of code, and let me just say 500 lines of code. And this 500 lines of code now is actually replicated similarly for a lot of different print functions. There's a print2 function, there's a print3 function, and if you see that you want to do something before and after this 500 lines of code, what would you do? Would you go manually change all of these different hundreds and hundreds of functions, or do you want to have a simple way of adding something before and after the function? So that is the use case for decorators. So all you need to do is create a simple decorator and add it to these functions with the use of add symbol, and automatically your function is going to be executed via the decorator. So just show you guys a simple way of creating decorators. Let me call it as simple decorator, and the simple decorator is going to obviously take a function as the argument itself, and inside this simple decorator we have an inner function. Now what does the inner function do? The inner function is responsible for executing our function. So whatever function is being passed is going to get executed here. Now I want to do something before it, so I'll just say do something before, and I want to do something after that function ends, so I'll say do something after. So basically whenever you use this decorator, what will happen is that it's going to automatically every single time execute these two lines before and after, irrespective of what function is being passed. Now the simple thing is to return the inner function, not the inner function's object, and come to this line which is above the function where you want to add the decorator, and just do add simple decorator. So let's run this example to see what is really happening. I'll just say print function off, and I'm just going to fire this up, and you can see for yourself that it's doing something. So 500 lines of code is written here. but it's not the first thing to get executed. So this function is being called by this inner function, and this line gets printed first, followed by the function of, followed by do something after. So basically this is a very simple but powerful use of decorators. You can even handle return values, you can do anything you want to do inside it, and that's the second tip that I want to share with you guys. Alright, so even before we move on to the next one, I want to give a big shout out to the sponsor for us with this video, Unacademy, along with CodeChef. I'll take just 1 minute of your time and come back and discuss the rest of the tips with you guys. One of the important things that a lot of you people have been asking me is that why should I actually even take the Unacademy subscription? Well, first of all, let me tell you that this subscription is not going to be just for the batches and the courses. There are going to be a lot of live classes that are going to happen on an everyday basis, and you have access to all of them. One more important thing is that the subscription is not just dedicated only for the CodeChef portion. It's going to be dedicated for the entire platform, the content on the platform, where you can take classes for whatever field you want to take. Second important thing is that these classes are going to be taken by top educators in their field, and I've taken their classes myself, and I feel that I'm very confident in what they are teaching. So the important question that you also guys ask me is that what are the different ways that I can interact with these teachers? Basically, there are a few different ways. You can use your live classes, ask your doubts then and there, or you can even take part in the Discord server that they're going to set up and give it to you. Put your questions any time of the day, and you have your answers right then and there. So that's a couple of various ways that you can interact with your teachers. It's a very interesting and informative way for sure. Alright, next, moving on, the content is also there for not just your beginners but intermediate as well as advanced level people, and the batches are running almost on an every week basis. You have almost 60 hours of content getting added on an every week basis. Alright, if you're not going to be taking part in the Unacademy subscription, do not worry, because again, there are ton of free classes that are also be available as part of the CodeChef and Unacademy. You can make use of that, and let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'll be very happy to guide you in any of your doubts. Moving on to the third tip, we are going to be looking at the use of shortening looping statements with the help of generators. Again, generators are very powerful, and in Python we have a very simple to use generators, and I'll talk more about generators, what is it used for, how was it created, and all of that, probably separate video. But if you are aware of the looping statements, you will see for yourself that looping statements are often very tedious to write. You will be keeping on writing multiple different looping statements for very simple use cases. You can actually shorten the entire thing with the help of generators. So what exactly are generators? These are nothing but a way of generating the next different in a very simple, or I would say in a very crude way. These are capable of generating the next item. You don't have to always have a looping statement to handle the next item. The generators themselves are capable of doing that. So let's go back to a PyCharm. I'll show you guys how and what to use the generators for. Now let's say that I have a simple list of things like this simple list again, and the simple list is going to be like 1, 2, and 3, probably like this. And what I want to do is I want to find the length, sum of these values. What will you do? Will you do sum of, probably it will work, but what you'll also do is that you want to create some data. Let's say I want to create a list of 10 numbers, simple list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, right? It's going to keep on going till 10. And let's say I want to create 100 numbers. Let's say I want to create a array of 1000 numbers. You can't keeping on going and adding it, initializing it manually. So where the generators come in handy is to create something like this simple list, and you would say for I in range of 1, 101, because it goes till n minus 1, and till now it looks like a simple looping statement. What you will do is just add the I before. So what happens is that this line gets executed first, and the index, whichever is coming here, is actually returned. These are very simple values, and if you can go here and just say print of simple list, you will see that, let's make it 11. I don't want it to print till 100. And you can see that it's automatically creating a list of 10 numbers, and we didn't use any kind of looping statement. We just had a shortcut, and we added a shortcut with a concept called generators, and it has obviously done the work for us. You can use generators anywhere, everywhere. Probably if you want to print something, you can do it here easily, and that's also very useful. And most importantly, this is not only going to work with probably just a list of numbers. You can even do or handle generators for different iterable. So iterable are, you have tuples, you have sets, you have dictionaries and list. So all these four different data structures that is available inside Python can use generators. That's very, very powerful. That is a very simple trick again here. It's just to swap two numbers. Now swapping two numbers might look very, very trivial, like what is exactly talking about. Swapping is very, very simple, but in Python you can do swapping without even using a temporary third variable. I am actually from C++ and Java kind of a learning experience. I've been using learning that from my school days, and every time you talk about swapping two numbers, they talk about using a third temporary variable. But in Python it's very, very simple. You can swap two numbers because these two numbers can be considered as tuples, and you can just swap them in just a matter of one line of code. So what we will do is just you just initialize some variables like this. We'll say 1 comma 20. Now what do you think is the value of x and y? If you print the value of x and y, it's automatically going to print 1 for x and 20 for y. Now that's the power of Python. You don't need to individually initialize values. Now let's say I want to swap these two numbers. I don't need to say z is equal to x, and I don't need to use a temporary variable. What I can do is that I can do x comma y is equal to y comma x. And now if I print the value of x and y, it's automatically going to be swapping, and it automatically would have swapped by itself. Let's run this and you will see for yourself that it's automatically swapped. The indexes, the value is swapped, and the object reference is also getting swapped, because internally these are nothing but considered as tuples, and we are having a data, and which we are now able to talk about, or we are able to point to that tuples value with the help of these two variables. So that's very simple way of swapping in Python. Hopefully if you can use it, and I've been using it. I can use it in almost any program that I do. I swap numbers. If I want to reinitialize values, I'll do it with this simple trick. Hopefully it was helpful for you. Let's move on to the last one. I have something interesting to show you guys as well, and that's the use of zip function. Now zip is an internal function. Again, you don't need to use or you need to import anything. And what zip does is that it can take any type of tuple. Let's say I have four tuple, a four value tuple, which is something with respect to like cities value. I have some another four value tuple, which is just numbers. If I want to iterate over that, I can just simply call the zip value zip off, and it will automatically take care of adding or collecting all of these tuples into a numbered or indexed value of tuples. So let's go in and see for ourselves what exactly I'm talking about. It might be a little confusing if you are using, or if you are very new to Python, but let's say I have a tuple like this. I have a simple tuple a, and I have values like this. I'm going to have the values like a, b, c. All right, I have another simple tuple num, and this simple tuple num is having value 1 2 3. Now what I want to do is I want to create individual tuples like a comma 1, or a comma 1, b comma 2, c comma 3. Now these are going to be list of tuples. Let's say I want to do that. What I would do is that I just call output is equal to zip off. I just call the iterators. It's automatically saying that you can pass n number of iterators with the same number of values, meaning that everything should have the same number of values. Here we have 3 value tuple, another 3 value tuple. So all I will do is just call simple tuple a comma simple tuple num, and if I print the output, you will see that it's automatically going to generate for us a list of tuple. Awesome. So it's what one thing that you need to quickly do is, again, you're combining the use of generators here. You're just calling or looping through the output, and you're printing each output, and you can see for yourself that what it has done, it is automatically zipped to different tuples. We don't have to worry about combining or creating another tuple, or you don't need to write lengthy for loops to combine two tuples. Just the simple use of zip will do it for you. Now let me add another tuple just to show you guys how it's simply very, very simple it is. I'll call it as probably city. I'll just create some city names like this. I'll say Chen, Mumbai, and Bang, maybe something like that. I'll just short forms for that, and I'll just have to do is just pass this here, right? Nothing else. Just if you run this, you will see for yourself it's automatically forming a own tuple based on the index. So A1 Chen comes under the index 0. Similarly for B2 Mom comes under index 1, things like that. So one more important thing that you need to note for this is that it needs to have the same number of values, or same length should be same, and that's the only criteria to use zip. And hopefully you found all of this informative, and that's it probably for this tips and tricks video. Hopefully you found it all interesting. If you liked this video, you know what to do. Smash the like button down below. I'd be very happy to know what exactly you guys have. If you have any other tips or tricks that you use on your Python program, you can let me know in the comment section below, and this community will be finding it very, very useful. Let me see you in the next video. Until then, it's Bharat. Peace out. Have a super awesome day.